All right.
So if something should go wrong and I lose connection, I will sign right back on with my phone. But you will have control. All right, it's 7:01. Welcome everybody to our planning board meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Town of Wakefield Planning Board meeting for October 27th, 2020. On our agenda this evening, we have item number 2, approval of meeting minutes. Item number 3, I'm just going to run down them quickly, and let me do this. I'll share my screen so everybody can see the plan for this evening if you didn't receive an agenda. And then we'll go over a couple of Zoom things before we start, just to make sure everybody understands what's going on. So our meeting this evening, we have approval of minutes from a bunch of meetings. If you don't know, our planning board has a new clerk. We had a temporary clerk, and now we have Susan Auld, who has been in as clerk. So in the last 6 months, we've had 3 clerks, and it's been a nice little learning curve, and we've learned a lot since our town planner, Paul Revis, has retired. So there was a lot of things going on that Paul took care of that now we're learning about, and we're learning how to make that process efficient with our board. So we're getting there. Thanks for all your patience. Tonight, we also have a couple of items, public hearing. Item number 3, this is our second meeting, I believe, for this. And we had a couple of meetings for the public hearing. It's for zoning text change, where this is the bank and the savings bank and the paragraph L. And we'll go over that this evening. That will be our first item. Item number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all related. And they all have to do with the property on Quannapowitt Parkway and on North Ave that goes up and around. So we'll be looking at approval not required. Those are A&R plans. As a planning board, we review these. If they meet the requirements that we have set, we really don't have control whether they move forward or not. We can endorse them as a board. We can speak to them as a board and have a conversation, but we will not be taking any public comments regarding the A&Rs. The preliminary subdivision plans are different. If we do discuss those this evening, we will talk back and forth with the people who are presenting, and our board will have comments, and then we'll decide at that point if we want to discuss it and hold any public comments. At the very end, we have another one for 107 Prospect Street. The set surety, and then some items not anticipated by the chair, which I don't have any. So, Matt, do we want to make a motion to move the approval of the meeting minutes to the end of the meeting, or what do you think about doing it now?
Let's just get it out of the way.
Okay, so I'd like to go over these approval of minutes. And again, we're a little bit behind, but this is us catching up. So I'd like to see if there are any questions on the July 28th meeting minutes. And this is really just for Matt and Bill.
I've got nothing. I'm going to make a motion to accept the July 28th, 2020 meeting minutes.
Bill, you're muted, but I didn't see if you had any comments or questions.
No, I didn't have any comments or questions on it.
All right, thank you. You want to second the motion?
I'll second the motion.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The next meeting minutes, August 25th, 2020. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
No.
I've got none. I will make a motion to accept the August 25th, 2020 planning board meeting minutes.
And I'll second that.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Matt. September 8th meeting minutes. Any questions or comments?
None.
I have none. I'll make a motion to accept the September 8th, 2020 planning board minutes.
I'll second that motion.
All right, all in favor. This is aye.
Aye.
Matt, could we do these all together? The rest of them to see if there's any comments?
Let's just go through them.
All right. September 14th, 2020. Any comments on our meeting minutes? Matt or Bill?
No.
I've got none. I'll make a motion to accept the September 14th, 2020 planning board minutes.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. And just a quick comment before we vote on that. That was, I believe, the joint meeting with town council to appoint our new planning board members. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. September 22nd, 2020 meeting minutes. Any comments or any questions on the notes? On the
I
minutes?
have none.
I have none, and I'll make a motion to accept the September 22nd, 2020 planning board minutes.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
So that would be the first meeting that Joanne and Megan, I believe Megan attended, Joanne did not. So I think I heard Megan there. Was that true?
That is true.
All right. Thank you, Megan. Nice to see you. October 13th, 2020 meeting notes. Any comments or questions from the board?
I have none.
No.
I have none, and I'll make a motion to accept the October 13th, 20 meeting minutes.
All in favor? Oh, who second?
I will second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. I see hands and I hear. All right. Last ones. October 21st, 2020. Does anybody have any comments or questions regarding the meeting minutes?
I've got no comment.
Okay.
Neither
Thank
do
you.
I.
And a motion?
Megan, why don't you take this one?
I'll motion to accept the meeting minutes from October 21st, 2020.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And special thanks to Susan Auld for being an awesome, all-absorbing sponge as we've gone through all this, and so over welcoming and, and understanding about all this. So thank you very much for jumping in and helping us pull this all together. I am so happy that we've gone through those. Thank you. All right. So item number 3 this evening, public hearing, zoning text change section 190-4B, adding definitions, and section 190-31, adding new paragraph L. I'm going to stop my share, and I'd like to invite Attorney McGrail to, first of all, give a quick introduction, but also, I know this is an open public hearing. Tonight, our goal is to close this public hearing and for our board to recommend favorable action or not recommend favorable action moving forward for town meeting. So I know we've been through this, and at our last meeting, we were in a very good place. So Brian, if you could quickly introduce this and a little bit of history, but maybe keep it short since we're really close to where we need to be.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, public. With me tonight is Bob DiBella, who is the president and CEO of the Savings Bank. And I think Rachel Kellery is on also, vice president of the bank. And this is our second public hearing. We actually had 2 meetings with the board, as you're aware, prior to filing the zoning change request with the town council, which was then referred to your board. We had I think, a good presentation at your initial first meeting. And I'm happy to go through it in some detail if you want, but at that meeting, there was some public participation. And I think at the end, my recollection is the board was fairly satisfied where we stood. And I think you wanted to keep it open just in case there was further public comment for people that weren't able to attend the last meeting. So that's the way I saw it. I'm happy to bring that bylaw up on the screen if that would help, Mr. Chair.
Well, I would like that because we did not have any public participation in the last public in the last meeting.
Yep.
So I would like for you just to briefly go through it and just
Sure.
state. I think it's a really good presentation. It's a really good example of how the process works.
Sure.
That would be wonderful.
May I have control of the share?
I believe so. And
I'm getting,
another thing.
it
I learned
says
from the last
disabled when I
meeting-
try to do it.
Yep, you should be able to now. And just while Brian's doing that, everybody is muted. Thank you. The chat is also disabled, so you will not be able to chat this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Just bear with me.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Did that work?
Yes, it did.
Got
Thank you.
it? Great. Okay. So, let me just fix that. What this article is doing, just as a way of background, there was the Savings Bank had an article at the last town meeting that dealt with giving financial institutions certain dimensional relief under the bylaw. And basically, there was a lot of participation at town meeting. And some of the members of town meeting were concerned that the way the bylaw was written, it was too broad because it really just was not limited to banks. It included financial institutions and offices and business offices, which is much broader than that. The term financial institution, could include insurance companies, investment companies. And that was pointed out at the debate at town meeting. And as I've said before, many of the folks that participated in that debate said they really didn't have a problem with the banks, but they felt that the bylaw needed to be tightened up to really limit it. So we took that to heart, and we listened, we learned, we spoke to some of the folks that participated vigorously in the town meeting debate to understand their concerns. And they were kind enough to spend some time with me on that. So what we did is we did a rewrite of the bylaw to really limit what we're doing here to banks. And what we've done is we've actually created a definition of a bank, which is not in our bylaw. Our bylaw only references financial institutions, and it doesn't even define financial institutions. So that could be very broad. So we started with where folks really didn't have a, per se problem with the banks because they're such an integral key part of our downtown. We started by defining a bank, and a bank is defined now. It is a financial institution authorized, licensed, or chartered by the state or federal government that maintains depository accounts for customers, accepts deposits, pays withdrawals, clears or cashes checks, pays interest, makes loans, and in addition may provide other financial related services to its customers. So now we've got a pretty good solid definition of the bank. And then the bank building is what is going to need relief. So we define the bank building, and the bank building is defined as a building solely occupied or used as a bank. So it kind of starts there because, I think some folks at town meeting brought up a good point, and they said, gee, what if the bank is in another building, with other uses, maybe the bank could be the springboard to, get relief for other uses in the building with a bank. So a bank building is a building solely occupied to use as a bank, no other uses in the building. The other comment was that, gee, it could be an ATM machine just there, and they could try to get relief for other uses. So we then say staffed by personnel. So bank, people working in the bank have to be there. Where customers may visit and conduct business in person and interact with personnel, including areas within the building such as lobby areas, teller areas, automatic teller machines, conference rooms, and customer lounge areas, along with areas that are exclusive to personnel, such as safe or storage areas, personnel offices, personnel work areas, personnel conference rooms, and other personnel related facilities such as a cafeteria. So it really limits that to a bank building. So we've really tightened it up, I think, as folks at town meeting requested that occur. And then what 19031 does, it allows bank buildings, and again, only bank buildings, to get certain relief from the bylaw. It's really, I think, 4 things. It's floor area ratio, which we went over at the last hearing, that it's virtually impossible with all the open lobby area for banks that want to put, some offices above to meet the floor area ratio where everything is so tight in the business district. And to explain to folks what the floor area ratio is, the example would be if you have a 10,000 square foot lot, you can only have floor area in your building of 15,000 square feet, including all the stories. So it's pretty tight. There's also relief allowed for maximum building coverage, because where these banks are, in particularly most of them are in the downtown business district, they don't have a lot of room on their lots. They pretty much cover all of their lots. Minimum open area is another issue that they just are not able to meet. And then finally, front yard setback requirements. And the reason for that is, again, we're not seeking any height relief. In the business district, 60 feet is allowed. We're not looking for any ability to go above that. To give folks a kind of an idea of what that would be, the Oddfellows building, which is part of the savings bank now, is 54 feet high. So no one's looking to go beyond what's allowed in the district, but our bylaw has a funny provision that says that if you're over 50 feet, you need to be set back 5 feet and then 1 foot for every foot that you're over 50 feet. So, for example, the Oddfellows building would have to be set back 9 feet, 5 plus the 4 over 50. So, that in the downtown, business, in the business district is virtually not possible to do, and probably not something that you would want to do. I mean, all the buildings down there are right up on the street, in where they all are located now. And then you're not just allowed to get those reductions. Any of those reductions have to be supported by evidence of lack of suitable land or design considerations, and you would need a special permit from the Board of Appeals to get that relief. So there's a check and balance there. You're not just saying you can do whatever you want. This is something that we've talked about. Bob DeBella's on again. The bank has purchased the Hartson building next to them. This type of relief is integral to the bank, the savings bank, to be able to do their project and plan their project. And other banks have also opined on their desire to have this ability. It's very, I think, important for our downtown banks and to have the ability to compete with other banks in the area that are moving to these lifestyle type malls. So we feel that it's a good bylaw. At the last hearing, it was, I think, Megan, one of the new board members, asked a good question. Gee, is this something that could be done now? With a variance. I think it could be done, but as we discussed, a variance is a higher standard, and basically the money that the banks have to put up in soft costs to even get. I don't think a lot of people can understand or comprehend the expenses that go into comprehensive applications that are filed either with your board or the zoning board. The bank, when they put their architectural plans, when they do their site survey, their civil, drainage, filing fees, attorney fees, just to get the application in, they're going to be close to probably over $100,000 in all those costs. just so soft costs. So, to put that kind of money out there and say, gee, now I have to go try to get a variance. And if there's opposition, it makes it even more difficult. Sometimes it's easier for some of the banks to just say, you know what, let's find a bigger area to locate where we can be. So we feel that there's a need for this. We think, I thank the folks who looked at this. I'd like to give them credit, Matt Jewett and Bob Mitchell, two very smart men. And they gave great comment, I think, at town meeting, and I respect it. And I think we've made some changes to address some of the concerns, the very good concerns that were raised. And I thank them for their input and comment on these items. So I hope that lays it out, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for taking that 10 minutes or so to explain it. I think it's important to hear it again, as the public meeting is still open. And I wanted to give the board members a chance, if they do have any questions or comments, before we open it up to any public comment.
I just have one. I don't know, Brian, this came up at one of our past meetings. Is this a resubmittal of an article that already failed? And what's the,
So I don't think it is, because the language is in my mind pretty significantly different, because it's a lot narrower and it gives less relief. But the answer to that is, even if it was exact, the statute allows for a repetitive petition as long as it's recommended approval by the planning board.
okay.
So, and what's really unique about that, when I've always read the statute, I always presumed that you needed to have favorable recommendation for the planning board for this article going forward in November. A case just came down that the land court and then the appeals court upheld them, made the determination that no, if you had favorable recommendation on the first try, you can bring it back again. So in this case, we did have favorable recommendation from your planning board when it went in June. So, and I've also talked to town council about this. I saw that case, I called him, we went over it, and he agrees with that assessment.
And ultimately, it would be the Attorney General who does the final review on this, who would check into that too, correct? Correct. All right. I have no other questions at this point.
Thank you, Matt, for bringing that up. Bill, Megan, any comments or questions?
No.
Thank you. I know we did get a chance to really vet this over 2 meetings before the public hearing opened. And I just wanted to give a chance for Bob DeBella, if you had any comments or anything to say before we open up to public.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really don't have any other comments. I think Brian's done a nice job of tightening it up. And, he listened to what came up at town meeting and speaking to the gentleman that spoke at the meeting. And I just appreciate being able to come and before the planning board again and hear your comments. So.
Excellent. Yes, it's great. I really enjoy how the process works. So now our goal tonight, as mentioned earlier, is to close this. We have to close this public hearing. So before we do that, I would like to see if anybody in the public has any comments or questions regarding this item that Attorney McGrail, the public hearing for zoning's text change for section 190-4B, adding definitions, and section 190-31, adding new paragraph L. And I see one hand, there's a blue hand up. And I think this is working better for me now because I can see this. And Brian, if you want to stop sharing, give some of the real estate back on the screen. I see Ms. Delavolpe, if you would like to speak, I believe, can you unmute or do I have to unmute you?
I think I'm unmuted, am I not?
You are. Good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
I'm going to argue that this is substantially the same bylaw. Tightening up a previous bylaw, it does not constitute a different bylaw. It may have been narrowed, but when you look at the purpose of the original bylaw and the purpose of this bylaw, it is precisely the same. And who determines? Does this board determine if this is substantially the same or substantially different? Who determines that?
My understanding is we do not determine. We go through, and because we recommend favorable action at the previous review, and with the changes that were made where the bank and the bank building were defined, and paragraph L was redefined with more strict wording or more wordsmith, if however it wants to be. As a board, we felt comfortable with moving forward with it to a public hearing. And ultimately, as the conversation with Attorney McGrail and Matt Lowry, it would ultimately be the Attorney General who will review this to
So,
make that final decision.
so if this goes to town meeting, the Attorney General looks at it, and if the Attorney General looks at the previous article wording and this wording and determines that it is essentially the same, what happens?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't been through that, but I imagine it would be rejected. Attorney McGrail, is that something you could speak?
No,
About?
it could be the exact same language, and as I said, it can go forward. It can
So
go
in
forward.
other words, that every zoning article that has been before town meeting can now be brought before town meeting without waiting the 2 years.
No, not correct. Any
Why not?
zoning article, I can clarify that. Any zoning article that went to town meeting with a favorable recommendation of the planning board at that town meeting can be brought back to a subsequent town meeting within 2 years. That's the
Okay.
state law.
All right. I think the other problem that I really have with this is, and I'm going to really urge the planning board, because there are so many loose ends on this and so many unanswered questions and ambiguities that you don't vote for this and then let town meeting handle it, where it's going to go ultimately. I don't think that this is what our zoning is for. I think that this basically gives banks, and in this case, one entity, one bank, preferential treatment. Again, that the ZBA can grant what's being asked in this bylaw. And I don't think, and it really doesn't really have anything to do with banks competing. That's just window dressing. It has everything to do with the preferential treatment of one entity. And that's not what our bylaws are for. If the ZBA could not do what this bylaw is trying to sort of do, then I would perhaps have a different feeling about it. But if the ZBA can make all the changes that are being requested in this, I don't understand the need for this. This seems to be using our bylaws, changing the bylaws for the whole town. Which is something akin to like spot zoning. You're doing it for one client. Potentially other people could use it too. Yes. I don't think that this is necessary. And I disagree with, I think that the reasons why this is being done, if we shouldn't be changing our bylaws because we're afraid of an appeal or we're afraid of the cost. Everyone has to deal with those. And I don't think that giving one entity any preferential treatment is fair to anybody else who has to go through the process, like everybody else.
Thank you, Ms. Delavolpe. A lot of good comments and understand your concern. I know as professionally as an architect, I have bank clients, and we've also gone through similar conversations where other banks were changing their method of delivery of their services, where they turned into cafes, brought in coffee shops, did a lot of other things where some of our clients chose to go through the variance with certain ZBAs, while other ones decided it was best to amend zoning bylaws and put the effort in to do that. So I know they're different paths. They do get to the same result. In this case, Attorney McGrail and his client are proposing this bylaw change because it's the path that they choose. So as a planning board, for us to go through the motion to understand what the wording is, to review it, to find that we could all ask questions and move forward and get input from the public and from the town, and then bring it to town meeting. I think this is the due diligence of our planning board to make sure that this is organized properly, to have the correct verbiage, to be within meeting guidelines, open meeting guidelines, and then provide a public hearing that eventually would go to town meeting for 2/3 vote for it to change. And if it goes to town meeting and it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. And they could go the route of the variance. But for us to update, to amend our zoning bylaws due to the change in how businesses are operating, I think that's a really good purpose of our planning board.
I understand the process. Thank you for going through it. However, you just said it yourself that this is a convenience for one entity, and I
I said
believe
it was a
that is
path. I didn't say it was a convenience.
no, I did. That was my word. I believe that this is a convenience for one entity, and I don't believe that overall that we should be changing our town bylaws for the convenience of one entity.
Understood. And I feel as a planning board, some of our responsibility lies in the economic development of our town.
Right. And a bank can certainly move forward with doing exactly precisely the same thing with the existing system. That's what I don't get. The existing system is in place. And if the ZBA, and I've communicated with David Hatfield on this, who was extremely helpful in definitions and walking me through the two different processes, that the outcome is the same. Okay, that's really not the problem I have. The outcome. We already have a system through which the same outcome can be gone through. Why do we need a different one? That's my basic question. Why do we need this when we already have an existing system that will take care of everything that's being requested?
I feel I've already answered that. I don't know if anybody else on the board or if through the board, Attorney McGrail has any comments regarding that.
Well, I think I can comment on that. As it was pointed out at the last meeting, some of the relief that the bank is looking for would only be able to be obtained through a variance.
Correct.
And with a variance, it's appealable, and that process can get extremely long and expensive. So,
But isn't that the risk that everyone takes when they go through the process? That's my point.
if they're looking for a variance, yes. If they're not looking for a variance, no. And to one point that you said, this is not for one entity. As I count, there's 4 other banks downtown that could use this. So I don't think we're showing favoritism to one bank. Yes, one bank was the one that brought it up and sponsored it, but they will not be the sole beneficiary of this zoning change if it goes through.
Thank you, Matt. I know there is another hand up. Robert's iPad, if you could state your name and your address.
Yeah, good evening. It's Robert Mitchell, 6 Balding Street. Yeah, I was very much opposed to this article in the spring, mainly because it allowed for a loosely determined bank, as Brian McGrail spoke to well, financial institution, to be of unlimited height. Unlimited. you could put a 60-story skyscraper anywhere in Wakefield with, zone business. I am absolutely appalled, and I wasn't until just hearing what I heard now. I am absolutely appalled that the planning board approved to put a building in Wakefield of unlimited height. That is
You do
astonishing.
understand that it would have to
Yeah.
go through the ZBA for a special
You
permit.
guys approved a building for you guys made.
We don't approve buildings.
Wait, no, you approved the article. I didn't get this until just now. Now, I'm not going to belabor this, believe me. I just want to state it. Thank you. I am appalled that you guys actually approved an article that would have allowed for a building of unlimited height in Wakefield. It's astonishing. And I'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that.
Do you want to speak to that, please?
That didn't happen. Because,
It
Bob,
got voted
just-
down at town meeting.
No, just to remind you, Bob,
No.
because if I could through you, Mr. Chair, just to
Okay,
remind,
sure.
Yes,
Certainly
if
please.
I can,
go
Bob,
ahead.
because I just, it goes back a while ago, and the way it was originally proposed allowed for that. And you participated in the
Right.
planning board public hearing prior to the June town meeting, and you astutely raised that. And if you remember, prior to town meeting, we modified the language to take the height part of it out.
Okay, I thought, okay, and that's, I'll stand where I stand. And
Yeah.
I thought the planning board approved that version and then you
No.
amended it on the floor.
No, Bob, no,
Okay,
and that was
so,
because,
okay,
and
I got it.
and
Okay,
Bob, that
no,
was because of your
thank you.
participation. It was your,
Yep. Okay,
I'm giving you credit, you did that.
yeah, no,
So-
thank you, and I appreciate that. Okay, thank you. I stand corrected on that. I'll just rephrase my whole statement saying that it got presented as unlimited, and I make no offense, so I'll stay where I stand on that. So thank you. And
Thank
I
you, Mr. Mitchell.
appreciate,
Thank you for your participation, as Attorney McGrail mentioned earlier.
yep, I'll just be super quick, and I'm not going to belabor it. I want to thank Brian. He did let me participate at town meeting and prior to this article. My main focus here is Wakefield Savings Bank is great, and wish them all the best. No issues there. Is from the planning board's perspective, I want the planning board to think about how they're going to vote tonight, and that either way they vote, this can go to town meeting. So if you vote it even down, and because to me, it reads almost like spot zoning, and it reads very much for a very narrow part of the business community, which I'm a great supporter of, and you're doing it only so they don't have to go through a variance process, which every other person in business in Wakefield would have to go to if they wanted something like this. They're getting a special allowance there. And if I understand it right, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, if they built the height to be 49 feet, if the new construction on top of the Hartshorn Insurance Building was 49 feet, would that have a setback, or could they build that right up?
No, but on this particular project, that Hudson is only going to be, it's probably going to be less than 30 feet. But what's going to happen, Bob, is that for this particular project, when it goes forward, that's going to become an entire campus because all the lots are going to get merged, right? So now it brings back into play the requirements for the Oddfellows building. So that because what you're going to do,
You'd be grandfathered for that.
no, because you're gonna merge, you're gonna get rid of all the interior lot lines, and you're gonna have one building. They're all gonna be connected. So that would not be grandfathered.
Is that true only if the zoning article passed, though?
I'm sorry,
If the zoning article didn't pass, would that be true? If the zoning article didn't pass?
If the zoning article didn't pass, it would need a variance for that issue, Bob. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying more from the planning board's perspective, not how this goes at town meeting, that I would just have them very much consider if they want to, as a board, open up things like, well, I don't want to do a variance, so let's just change the zoning. I think that's a very slippery slope. And I just want to
Understood.
caution the planning board on that. And
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
that's it. That's it. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it very much. Yep.
There's one more hand up, and it's RS. If you could unmute and speak, and sorry, and your name and your address.
Sure. Hi, my name is Rick Stewart. I live at 157 Salem Street. And it's a question more for Attorney McGrail. I want to make sure I understand this. He had spoken earlier that the original warrant that went in front of the town this summer that was voted down, that at the time, because it was approved by this board, there'd be a 2-year window for which it could be resubmitted. Am I correct with that one? Is that the correct?
Before Attorney McGrail speaks, we didn't approve it. We listen, we have public participation, we change things, we all make sure it's written. The article goes to town meeting, 2/3 of vote from the town will approve it.
No, I understand that, but he made a comment to the effect that because it was approved, that
No,
there's a 2-year
Not
window.
the correct word. Sorry to correct you.
That's okay. I want to make sure I get it correct.
Right. Only the town by 2/3 vote can approve a zoning bylaw change. As a planning board, we can recommend favorable action or not recommend favorable action, but we don't have the power to approve.
Okay, so the correct term would be the action that the board gave allows for it to be resubmitted for a second vote at a future town meeting. Is that correct?
And Attorney McGrail, please correct me, but there's a 2-year wait. And if the planning board recommends favorable action, from Attorney McGrail speaking earlier, it waives that 2-year wait to resubmit the same article for zoning. Attorney McGrail?
Yeah, I might have misstated, and I apologize if I said approve, which this gentleman meant, but yeah, I mean, basically, as you know, before any zoning article can be voted on at town meeting, before that happens, there has to be a recommendation of the planning board. Recommendation for favorable action or recommendation for denial or negative action by town meeting. If you go to the planning board with a recommendation of favorable action and it does not pass at town meeting, if you come out of the planning board with a recommendation for favorable action, you go to town meeting and it doesn't pass at town meeting, you can come back within 2 years. If the planning board recommends negative action by town meeting and it's denied at town meeting, you have to wait 2 years to go back.
Okay, and so.
And that's state law. That's the way.
No, I understand that, because my next question is, that approval that we just talked about there was based off of what was submitted for the previous town meeting. You made a statement earlier saying that this is not the same. This is a different version of it that you said, is not really the same thing. It's different. So if this were to get turned down again at this town meeting, would that clock start again for another 2 years? Because this is substantially a different request. So there'll be another 2-year window to have another opportunity to bring it back again?
Yeah, I think if it comes out with a recommendation of favorable action, it could be brought back again.
Right, but you can see that this is what gets frustrating for certain voters. We had a vote over the summer, we said no. Now it's back again a second time. It has a potential to come back a third time. And this is what frustrates a lot of voters, because we come to town meeting, we make our voices heard, we get the vote says no, now we're back for a second time, and then a third time. That's why people start to lose interest, because in essence, at the end of the day becomes.
Hold on, Mr. Stewart, I appreciate your comment. The reason this does work is because at town meeting, the 2 main points that were keeping this from being approved were brought up at town meeting, debated, brought back to the planning board with amendments or revisions to the original that changed it in a way that took into consideration the 2 points that were keeping it from passing at town meeting. So now that it's been revised with the public comments, and this is the very frustrating part about being on the planning board, we hardly get any public participation during these public hearings. It's super frustrating to sit here and not hear everything from people in the town, and then go to town meeting after holding 3-4 meetings and then hear what's wrong with it. So yes, it's better to be here in a public hearing and voice your opinion before it goes to town meeting. So this time it worked where it went to town meeting, did not pass by a very slim margin. The 2 comments that kept it from passing came back in, were revised with a lot of time taken by our board and by the public to come in and speak, to really hash it out. Now it's going back to town meeting under our state laws, and you can show up at town meeting and you can vote for it or not vote for it. But that's where we stand with it. I hope that's clear.
No, I understand that, but it sets a mechanism where this is open-ended. We could it could get voted down again, go back and make some tweaks again. It's back again. And it just, when does no become no?
I think it becomes no this time, from the bank's perspective.
yeah.
Bob can speak on that, and I respect what Mr. Stewart is saying. I totally understand where he's coming from. I respect that.
That's all I'm going with this is,
Okay.
when do we define no?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think.
I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. I don't think there's anything else that can really be changed on this one.
I'm not looking for anybody to change. I'm just understanding the process and seeing that the way the process is defined, and some of it's just based off of state law, is in essence, there's a mechanism for this to continually kind of move forward, even
Right.
though it's being told repeatedly, no, by town vote, but there's still a way to push this forward to some extent. But we have our answer. I have my answer. I appreciate everybody's time on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your participation. With that, I don't see any other hands.
Could I comment on?
Oh,
just-
yes, sorry, Matt.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
just again, what I'm relying on as a backstop, and no offense to Attorney McGrail, but I tend not to trust an attorney from one side or the other. We do have the Attorney General who's going to be reviewing this. So I feel comfortable that if we are making a major mistake here, it will be caught and it will be brought to our attention. So I feel comfortable in that I don't think the planning board should be the one to be interpreting the law here. We're following through what we believe is correct. And there is a mechanism to check this before before it's enacted.
Thank you, Matt. Any comments from the planning board before entertain a motion to close public hearing? I'd like to hear a motion or I'd like to entertain a motion to close public hearing for the zoning text change, section 190-4B, adding definition, and section 190-31, adding new paragraph L.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing on this article.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Second. Thank you, Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All four. Thank you. And thank you, Attorney McGrail. Thank you, public. Thank you, Savings Bank. Bob, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Kevin, I got distracted. Did you vote? I'm
No.
We
sorry.
did.
Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry, it got shut down, Brian. No, I'm
Oh,
kidding. No, we just closed the public hearing.
Oh,
But now
I'm
we're going
sorry.
to, now the public hearing is closed, we can vote as a board to recommend or not recommend. If that's
Gotcha. I didn't know if that happened yet or not.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be so punchy. So I'd like to entertain, actually to vote on, to recommend for the planning board, to recommend favorable action at town meeting on November 7th for the public hearing, for the zoning text change, section 190-4B, adding definitions, and section 190-31, adding new paragraph L.
so is that the motion you're making, Mr. Chairman?
I would like you to, yes, I am reading the text so you don't have to, and
So moved.
thank you. I have a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of recommending favorable action at town meeting on November 7th?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next item on tonight's agenda. And maybe we should have a quick talk regarding this from the attorneys and the clients that will be representing the next items. We have item number 4, item number 6, and item number 8 are all A&R plans for Quantapowhat Parkway. It's kind of hard to say together fast. How do you want to approach this? If the attorneys would like to speak, I know Attorney McGrail and is Attorney Moynihan, are you both representing this? How is this working?
Yeah, we have Attorney McGrail here for the applicant, and also Attorney Moynihan is here for the applicant. She is from the firm of Sheridan Lodge in Boston.
Is there a better way that you'd like to approach this?
I
just
think-
so-
I think, as you're aware, Mr. Chair, these are just, straightforward approval not required plans.
Mhm.
And then, so on 50 Quantapowhat, item 4 and 5, and then we have a submission of a preliminary subdivision plan. All we're looking to do tonight is to get that submitted
Yes.
to your board, which is normal course. And we'd like to then get on your agenda for a meeting in November to discuss the preliminary subdivision plan. So,
Thank you.
We'd like to take, first the approval not required plan. I think it's pretty straightforward. I can present that in conjunction with Mr. Ogren, who drew it, if John even needs to provide any information. And then if Carla needs to give some input, Attorney Moynihan needs to give some input, she can do that also.
Okay, well, let's move forward with item number 4, A&R plan for 50 Quantapowhat.
If I could, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I recommend that we just go in order and not confuse each item. Let's just go down the line and we'll address
Okay.
it as it comes up.
Thank you. Item number 4.
Great. Can I share the
Attorney
screen? Is it
McGrail,
available?
please. Yep. Oh,
So-
good, you still have it. Okay, yep.
I'm bringing this up, and this is 50 Quantapowhat Parkway. This is a pretty straightforward approval not required plan. What's happening here is there's a lot line that's being put in here to create lot 1 and lot 2. The reason that you have 1R and 1U is a portion of this lot is unregistered land and a portion is registered land. So this triangular piece is all part of 50 Quantapowhat, but it's unregistered land. This piece, that's the existing registration line. The frontage requirement is 150 feet in the limited business district. So this plan easily qualifies. It's certainly on a way in existence at the time that the subdivision control law went into effect, that being Quantapowhat Parkway.
Thank you, Attorney McGrail. I do have one question. Reviewing the plan, and it's more of me not being as familiar. I did go to the Registry of Deeds and look up the lots. And for lot 1R and 1U is being combined or grouped as one. Is the purpose to do that so it meets the minimum of the 40,000 square feet? I'm just curious.
Well, it's just the way, 1U, this, as you know, there's 2 forms of ownership in Massachusetts. There's registered land ownership and there's recorded land.
Understood.
And, sometimes you have lots of land that have a combination of both. And 50 Quantapowhat has a combination of both. So my arrow that shows you that inside this area is unregistered land. It's labeled on the plan. Outside the area is registered land.
Okay.
So you have to show them separately, because what will happen is if this plan is recorded, it's going to have to go to the land court for them to approve. Well, not approve. They just kind of go over the meets and bounds and work out the details with Hayes Engineering, and then they create their own land court plan that they record at the registry in Cambridge in the Land Registration Division. The other part of it gets recorded on the recorded side. So you really just, we wanted to just divide this lot nice and neat. And that's what we did, but you have to designate, what's registered and what's unregistered.
Okay, so just in the grouping, is the grouping of them together to meet the minimum square footage?
It's just the way we decided to design the lots.
Okay,
The only thing that matters with the A&R plan is that it has the adequate required frontage under zoning. We could have a lot that doesn't meet the area requirement and it's still entitled to endorsement.
right, and that's why I phrase it as more, I was just concerned as a question, if that is noted as a lot, but it's under the minimum square footage, how does that move past approvals.
Yeah, and you'll note that the plan in the endorsement area, your board is saying down here, no determination as to the compliance with zoning ordinance requirements has been made. It can be construed. Because, a lot of times you'll bring in an A&R plan that doesn't have the minimum lot area requirement under zoning.
Right.
And the cases are clear, the planning board still has no choice. They have to endorse that plan.
Understood. Thank you for explaining. Any members of the planning board have any comments or questions regarding this A&R plan?
I don't have any comments. You do have your Form A and your check for this?
Yes, so, this is, thank you, Mr. Lowry. So I submitted a Form A that, or I sent it to you. As you know, the application has to be accepted by your board. So what I would request is not only a vote for endorsement, which we're entitled to respectfully, but a vote to accept the application, Mr. Chair, and a vote to authorize you to sign that application via DocuSign.
Yes.
Because, and then I have the check also that's required for this that I will drop off at Town Hall. And I have paper plans that we can drop at Town Hall. I'm happy, I don't know where you want me to take those, if I should take them to Sue or somewhere else. But the paper plans we're happy to provide. It's required. We have them printed. Might be convenient for Sue if anybody is looking for a copy of a paper plan that we've already printed them. So whatever.
Understood.
So I'm looking for a vote to endorse the plan and to accept the application and authorize the chair to sign the application on behalf of the board via DocuSign.
Which I think we've done in 2 cases so far. So this is not setting a precedent. This is something that we've done during the COVID times and we're
That's
allowed
right.
to do.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make that clear. This is something we're now allowed to do with our board with the COVID open meeting laws and everything.
Yeah, and I called town council today because, I'm always cautious with this, and town council said absolutely it can be done.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board? Make the motion, Matt, to endorse, or do you want to read it or do you want me to?
Yeah, I have no other comments. I've reviewed this, so
Same here.
it meets all of the rules and regulations that the board has put down. So as you know, we're obligated to endorse this plan. We really don't have a choice in the matter on most of these. This is all a statutory process we're going through here. So I'm going to make a motion to endorse the plan of land at 50 Quanah Parkway, Wakefield, Massachusetts, prepared by Hayes Engineering, dated October 20th, 2020.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Megan. All in favor of endorsing this plan as the motion read by Mr. Lowry? Aye.
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 Uh,
Thank you.
Mr.
Aye.
Chairman, I'd like to make another motion, or that the board authorize the chairman to accept and endorse the Form A on this, and to further send
You
this.
can take the gate away. There's nothing she can get into in there.
I'm sorry, if please mute if you're just joining.
And to further send the plan around for endorsement by all board members. I want to make sure that we all sign this.
Thank you, Matt. And that, Attorney McGrill, that would require a paper copy. I think to answer your question before we do vote on this, I'll be signing I'll be assigning using the DocuSign for the application, but as a board, we'll be endorsing the plan. And I would like that the plan, and we've done this before with success, to be dropped off at my house, and I could sign it, and then I will deliver it to Matt Lowry's house, and we can continue that chain. Matt, does that sound?
Yeah. That sounds.
Megan? Does that sound, okay, I just want to make sure, Bill,
That sounds fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
and we'll figure out how that trail works and then we'll figure out where it can be picked up.
You can let me know. I'll have someone drop that off tomorrow, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Sorry, Matt, you had a motion. I just wanted to make sure there was a clarification on it. The second on Matt's motion for the chair, me, to have approval to accept and approve via DocuSign Form A.
I will second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Just let the record show that 4 members yes, and 0 members no. Thank you, Attorney McGrail.
And where would you like the checks dropped off? And should I just get that down to Susan at Town Hall?
I think the check should go to Susan. Susan, if you're on and that's fine, will you be at Town Hall tomorrow? Yep, she's nodding yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
And then if I may, yeah, just for the benefit of new board member Menasal, that the Mylar needs to be signed with a Sharpie, a black Sharpie pen. You might already know that, but I didn't know that the first time I went to sign one.
Brian, I'll make sure one is there. And
Yeah.
just to let you know, it's Megan Menasali.
Oh, Menasali, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
if you can stop sharing. Thank you. And item number 5, preliminary subdivision plan, 50 Quannapowitt Parkway. As I get tired, it's going to be Parkway. Okay. Attorney McGrail?
So this is, I mean, I can put it up for a minute if you want. This is just a preliminary
I think it's
subdivision
always better to
plan.
have the visual.
This gives you a visual, but you know, what our goal is tonight, the process with your board is usually that we would submit this plan. That's what we're asking you to do, to vote to endorse the application, accepting the plan, and then schedule it for discussion at your meeting in November. We'll also be filing a copy of this as required with the town clerk tomorrow, and the Board of Health, that's required also. So, and there's
Attorney
45
McGrail.
days, there's 45 days from the filing for you to, you know, make a, make comment and have discussion on this. So.
Understood. And sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure, do we have to accept it or as a board, or as it's submitted and we set the date? Does it need a vote? It's been a long time since we've done this.
Well, your application says, and this is why we need that, because this application is not deemed to have been submitted until the following endorsement has been completed by the board.
Okay.
So we need to make the submittal, and we're looking for you to vote to also accept the submittal and authorize you to sign this on behalf of the board.
Okay. Thank you for explaining. So just before we get to that part, looking at future meetings, we have November 10th, November 24th. And we haven't discussed this as a board yet, if we're meeting on November 24th or not. Sometimes that doesn't happen when it's the same week as Thanksgiving. I'm fine with meeting on that week. After that, it would be December 8th. So if we want to put this on the agenda for November 10th.
Yeah, I say we put it on for our next meeting, start discussion.
Okay.
And just so people know, this is not a public hearing, but we do routinely take comments from the public. So, you know, we're not obligated to do that, but we do want as much input from everyone on this process. So we encourage people, if they're interested, to, you know, chime in.
Matt, are you saying to chime in now or to chime in for November 10th?
No, not now.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
The way this works is, and just so people know, we're just basically seeing these plans for the first time ourselves. So we take these, we go over them for a while, and then at our first meeting when we discuss it, we have questions ready to go. We want to make, we want to review this before the meeting, so we're a little bit informed going into this process here.
Thank you, Matt. Attorney McGrail, if you'd like to do a quick explanation, and then we can make a motion to either endorse or, well, to move forward.
I really didn't want to make a presentation on this tonight. I
Okay.
really
Then
wasn't
there's no
prepared to
reason.
do it. Our main purpose is to submit the plan, and we'll be prepared to
Yes.
discuss it on November 10th, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I just wanted to give you a chance to bring it up and speak. Okay.
Yep.
Any board members have any comments or questions before we move to endorse?
We're not endorsing anything. We're just, it's just accepting it. So
I'm sorry, are we endorsing or accepting the application?
no, it's been presented to us, so it's accepted. We
Okay.
nothing. We're going to put this on our next meeting and move on to the next item on the agenda.
Well,
Right.
I would respectfully request a vote that you authorize the chair to sign the application as being accepted.
Okay, yeah,
He's going to docu-sign this too.
yes, so I'll again make a motion that the chair acts on behalf of the board and accepts the application for this preliminary subdivision review.
I will second that.
Thank you, Megan. All in favor? Aye. Bill?
Aye.
Just a hand is good. I can see you. Thank you. Let the record show.
I'll bring the checks for
Warren,
that.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Thank you. And I am working from home tomorrow, so I will be home. I will be in Boston on Thursday and then back on Friday. Thank you, Attorney McGrail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6. Item number 6, approval not required, A&R plan for 200 Quannapowitt Parkway.
Great. With me tonight on this matter is Tim Williams from Allen and Major Engineering, who's on the screen, and Peter Tam, who was with the law firm of Goulston and Stores in Boston. Peter, you're somewhere here, right? Oh, there you are. Hi, Peter. So this is pretty much the same thing. So what we have is it's loading.
This was the large one, right? This was,
Yeah.
or was it the preliminary one? Was
Yep.
very large plan.
So this is about as basic of a approval not required plan as you can get. What we're doing is basically just chopping the lot in two, as you can see, and this is the new lot line.
Just one question about this. I know, and this was interesting, just again, to the Registry of Deeds, this property, this building existed before April 16th, 1917?
No. The building?
Or one of the buildings on the property? Because did I read it incorrectly on the plan? Or not on the plan, in the form? That it was predates the subdivision control law?
Well, the way is in existence prior to the subdivision control law,
Okay.
Quannapowitt Parkway.
I might not have understood that correctly, because I
yeah.
noticed that it said the subdivision control law, and this was, I can't remember the exact words on the plan, or on the form, but it was before April 16th, 1917.
Yeah, Peter, do you want to add to that? I mean, I can bring up the form. Would that be helpful?
It's simply, Mr. Chairman, that I think exactly as you suggest, that the way on which both of these new lots obtain their frontage was a way in existence before the adoption of the subdivision control law.
Excellent. Yeah. I'm always fascinated by that, with how things are laid out and how old they are. That's great. Thank you for the explanation. Any comments from the board?
I don't have any.
Megan, Bill?
No,
All right, I don't have any other comments either. Matt, because you're so good at making these motions, do you mind?
I will, hold on, let me pull up my. Sorry, I'm looking for my files on my computer. All right. I'll read it off of here. I'll make a motion to approve the plan of land of 200 Quantipower Parkway, Wakefield, Massachusetts. I can't see the surveyor on this. I don't have my,
It's Merrill Engineering and Land Surveys.
it is prepared by Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors, dated October
16th.
16th, 2020.
Have a second?
But
All in favor to endorse the plan? I see 4 hands. Bill? Yeah, you seconded it, so yeah. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll make a further motion that the board authorize the chair to sign and accept the Form A documents and check to be presented by the attorney.
A second on that?
second,
Thank you, Bill. All in favor? I see 4 hands. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney McGrail. Attorney Tam? And moving forward to item number 7, preliminary subdivision plan for 200 Quantipower Parkway.
Again, Mr. Chair, this is a submission of the preliminary plan that we would like to put on your agenda for November 10th for discussion. I have it up on the screen, and we're looking for you to be authorized to sign and accept the application and the filing of the preliminary plan.
Thank you. We have a motion, entertain a motion to sign and accept preliminary subdivision plan for 200 Quantipower Parkway.
I'll make a motion to accept the plan and authorize the board to, and have the board authorize the chair to accept the application.
Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? I can see hands. Megan, I don't see your hand anymore.
oh, I'm there.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Attorney McGrail.
Thank you.
Thank you, board. Item number 8, approval not required A&R plan for 591, 595, 599, and 604 North Avenue.
I am here on behalf of that applicant, the applicants. There's more than one on that, as I think you're aware. And this also is a approval not required plan that I will bring up. This one's a little bit confusing. Let me see. And John Ogren from Hayes Engineering did the work on this. So what we're doing here, this is an A&R plan. We're creating a out of the totality of the land on the addresses that you referenced, 591, 595, 599, and 607 North Avenue. What we're doing is creating 2 lots here, lot 11 and 10, that have frontage, the required frontage on Quantapowhat Parkway. And then lots 12 and 13 are combined to make 1 lot. The notes on the A&R plan reflect all of this. Lots 14, 15, and 16 make another lot with requisite frontage. And then lots 17 and 18 make the final. So what we're doing is we're creating 5 different lots, and we're showing that all the existing structures are to be raised according to this plan.
All right.
John, do you have anything to add on that, or did I?
No, I think you covered it all. So yeah, essentially we're creating 5 lots, and the reason for the individual lots has to deal with the different ownerships.
Thank you. Attorney McGrail, is there any issue with lot 17, 18 being in 2 different zones where it's single residence and limited business?
No,
Okay,
no. I mean, it has a requisite frontage in both.
right.
So
And it's just where it runs all the way down Willard Road. I didn't know if there was some type of issue that we'd have to do anything else with the A&R
no,
because of that. It doesn't cut the frontage any shorter on North Ave.
not beyond non-compliance.
Yep, okay. Any comments from the board? Comments, questions?
Just one thing, Brian, if this does go through, obviously you're going to have to bring this to land court. So it's all going to be reviewed at land court for the math, correct?
That's right.
All right.
Thank you, Matt. As we have with the other 2 A&Rs, entertain a motion to endorse.
Brian, if you could slide that plan up so I can see the title.
Hold on. There you go, Matt.
All right. I will make a motion to endorse the plan of land number 591, 595, 599, and 607 North Avenue, Wakefield, Massachusetts. Prepared by Hayes Engineering, dated October 20th, 2020.
Have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Megan. All in favor? See hands? I see 4 hands. Thank you. And Matt, to add on the application?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd make a further motion that the board authorize the chair to accept the Form A and the check and sign on behalf of the board.
Have a second on that?
Again, with the plans being forwarded for endorsement by all members.
Yes.
Second that.
Thank you, Bill. All in favor? Thank you. The record show that 4 in favor. Thank you, Attorney McGrail. And item number 9, preliminary subdivision plan, 591, 595, 599, and 607 North Avenue.
Yeah.
Attorney McGrail, look at that.
Yes. So again, this is just a submittal. This is the preliminary subdivision plan that Mr. Ogren and I designed. For those addresses, and we're looking to submit this and have it accepted, the application endorsed, and to put this on your agenda for discussion on November 10th.
November 10th, yes. Thank you. Thank you for providing this. A motion to accept
I will make a motion to accept the preliminary subdivision plan for 591, 595, 599, and 607 North Avenue, Wakefield, Massachusetts.
A second.
Second.
Thank you, Bill. All in favor? 1, 2, 3. Megan, I don't see you anymore.
Aye.
Okay, perfect. Let the record show 4 in favor. Thank you, Attorney McGrail.
I'm going to make another motion that the board authorize the chair to accept the application for the preliminary subdivision.
Okay, okay, thank you. Didn't we do that in the same for these? Wasn't that one in the same for our motion?
Nope, that was another motion. I only
Okay.
made a motion to accept the plans. This is
Right.
authorization for you to sign on behalf of the
All right.
board.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? All right. 4 hands. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney McGrail. Thank you for
Thank you,
going
Mr.
through that
Chairman.
in rapid fire and going through it. Item number 10, to set the surety for 107 Prospect Street. Attorney McGrail, I know, and I just have to say before we get into this one, as a planning board, we have for these A&R plans, as Matt mentioned, there's certain rules or certain items and content that we have to see on those plans, the whole list. And we receive the plans via PDF, usually the Wednesday or Thursday before the Tuesday that we meet. So it's really nice to have all that information so we do get a chance to look at it. So if anybody out there is thinking of submitting any type of plan or anything to the planning board, it's important to get on the agenda. The agenda is reviewed in a draft and set the Tuesday and Wednesday before our meeting, and all the plans we like to have in PDF format. We don't deal with any hard copies until we actually have to sign them. Just want to put that out there. Attorney McGrail, do you want to review and share this with the board, or do you want me to pull it up? I know you sent the email out.
Oh, if you have it, that's fine. I mean, I could do it also. So
Actually, why don't you go ahead and do it, because I know it's
Sure.
in my email. And
yeah,
feel like
I
digging
have it.
in.
With me on this is I believe John and Matt Cullen here. So John, are you here? And Matt?
Yes, I'm here, Brian.
Oh, hi, John. Just bear with me. I'll open this up. So this is the subdivision at 107 Prospect Street. And John and Matt, who are developing the property, are simply, hold on, let me figure out how I can share this. I'm having a hard time with the share now.
Oh, it's still set to multiple, so you should
Hold
be
on.
able to
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Share the right
Yeah,
screen.
and they've John and Matt are coming along up there pretty quick and efficient. I think they're doing a very good job. Very clean site. They're moving along at rapid pace, and what we're looking to do is to set the surety so we can post I think it's going to be a tri-party agreement, right, John?
Yes, that's correct.
With the bank, and what we are requesting that the board set the amount, and then I would work with town council to come up with the surety in a form and content that is satisfactory to him on behalf of the board to make sure that the town is protected.
Okay.
And so Bill Renault, who is the town engineer, one of your regulations, participates with you in setting this. He went up to the site, he met with John, went over everything, and he provided the estimate of the cost to complete the roadway and drainage. So he is recommending an amount cost estimate of $69,343. And we have no dispute with that.
Okay, and I know as a board, this is something that we reviewed, and I know it was something that originally we were having this being taken care of before we got this far, but I know talking to Bill Renault and to you, Attorney McGrail, that it seems just a better process to have the town engineer go in there with the developers, with John and Matt Cullen to work this out, to go over every item, to figure out what it's going to take for hours and to really set a number to it. So I appreciate the time to do this. And I just want to recognize that. Thank you.
Well, we'd like to thank the town engineer because, you know, just so everybody knows, very efficient, very
Right.
efficient. Right, John? I mean,
Yes, very easy to work with. Yep.
It's great to hear, and I'll make sure he gets that feedback. And this was one of those items that in the past, as a more junior board member, it was always magical how Paul Revis, our former town planner, would make this all work. So I'm really glad to hear that working with our town engineer to get this all together was a good process. Thank you. Matt or Bill, do you have any comments on this? I know, Megan, this was before your time on the board.
So basically, Brian, most of the subdivision infrastructure has been constructed. This is just to finalize it and to move forward so you can get a building permit and start them.
yeah, correct. I mean, John, do you want to maybe just give
Yeah,
the
that's
board an update?
correct, Matt. All the utilities are in, the paver is down, all the drainage is active. And we're just using the additional items here to finish. We want to complete them after we have all the buildings completed.
Which makes sense. You don't want to rip up all the new pavement and everything, so.
Yeah, or in the granite curbing.
Right.
I would like to ask you how the drainage system works, but we really haven't had a lot of tests of the drainage system, unfortunately, but.
I went by there after the rain the other day just to see if the culvert coming into the rain garden where the stone is, to see how that was flowing, and there was still nothing coming out of it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
But it's looking nice up there. I'm happy that this has been moving along pretty well. Have you had any comments from any of the neighbors?
Yes, which I'll tell you about that. That we would like to accommodate a neighbor. Very nice woman who you remember, she participated in the hearings.
Right.
It's
Is this, I'm sorry, Brian, is this in regards to the letter that went to Mr. Mayo?
Oh, I don't know. This is, well, I don't know what that was. This is from a Mrs. Wallace.
Okay.
Who lives on Friend Street. And, you know, this is a good note because she sent a note and I just put the email up from her. Can you see it?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Let me share it. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So she writes, back in July, I am one of the abutters of the property being developed by a company. I live at 10 French Street, requesting that 3 trees within 2 feet of my boundary be removed as part of the development. I understand these trees are outside the limit of activity. I attended the last 2 planning board meetings last fall and spoke to the committee about my concerns. I also spoke to the engineer earlier this week, and he indicated that they would work with me, which our engineer did say that, if you need to discuss further. So Sandra Wallace would like 3 trees removed. They're on our property. They're in that no disturb area. John has no problem removing those trees for her at John's cost, as you know, an accommodation to an abutter at her request. But we can't touch those, as you know, without your board taking a look at them, and because you limited for the protection of everybody, the trees won't be disturbed up there without us coming back to you.
Right. Well, this was pretty important, and I appreciate that you brought this up because I wasn't aware of this memo, and I'm not sure if anybody else on the board was at either. I'm available tomorrow to go over and check this out if the board allows that.
Yeah, I don't know if these were located and shown on our original plans, or if they were some of the ones that just were never picked up, or how these.
No, Matt, they are on the original plan. Her concern was 2 of them are dying and 1 of them is in just terrible shape. That's her major concern.
And Mr. Cullen, do you see it as something where the trees are dead, where they, is it from infestations from bugs, or do you
No.
see that they're just old and dying? Have you got a chance to look?
Yes, one in particular has been struck by lightning. And it's pretty obvious when you'll see it tomorrow. You'll see all three of them. They're in pretty bad shape.
Okay. All right, we can make a time. I can be available to come out. Is there a time that, if the board approves, is there a time that works best for your crew?
Whatever works for you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, let me double check. I could, between 10 and 2. Anytime between 10 and 2, I'm available.
Okay.
I have work to do, but I can work around it.
Okay.
So
Want to say,
what time works best in there?
how's noon time?
Noon time's perfect. I'll be coming back from voting.
Great. We'll see you then.
All right. If the board approves, would approve me to walk 107 Prospect with Mr. Collin to review the 3 trees in concern by an abutter, Sandra Wallace, I believe, to see if they can be removed or not. Is that something the board is in favor of me doing?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't know if we need to take a vote on it, but
No, I don't vote. I just wanted like a nod or, okay. I don't want to speak for the board. I want to make sure we have consensus. Thank you. Okay, and thank you for that. The other email that I mentioned was about trees being taken down that should not have been taken down by one of the abutters that alerted, sent an email to the town planners. It got to Steve Mayo and myself, and Bill Renault went out to the site and walked and reviewed the trees. And this was in that same time. So I had a conversation with our town engineer and everything and responded back to the abutter. So all is good with that. It was just more about clarification on where that line is and what trees were being taken down. Let's see. Brian, you're muted. I don't know if you know that, but so we need to approve the 69,343. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And just because it's been a very long time, what's our next step with this, Brian, after we approve it or not?
Once you approve the amount, then I will work with town council in the bank to come up with a tri-party agreement. And what the tri-party agreement is that the bank agrees that they're going to hold X amount of money of Mr. Cullen's in escrow for that amount, and they will not release it until the town tells them it's okay, that everything in that subdivision is done as it should be.
Okay.
And if it's not done as it should be, the town has the recourse to go to the bank and collect the money and finish the work themselves.
Understood. Right. And I think this was similar to the Gates of Greenwood and a few others that we had that we were able to make sure things were done correctly. All right. Thank you, Attorney McGrail, for explaining everything. And thank you, John and Matt Cullen. If so it's for the board to approve I don't think we need to, do we need to make a motion to vote on this?
You need to accept the surety amount. I think town council will want that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, for the wording, I want to say that our board accepts the surety of 69,343 for 107 Prospect Street. And do we have to mention it's a tri-party agreement?
Yeah, John, it is going to be a tri-party, not a passbook agreement, right?
That's correct. Tri-party
Yeah.
agreement.
Yeah. So then your board we would request that your board, once town council is satisfied and signs off, that the chair be authorized to sign it on behalf of the board. So John can get going with his work with the winter coming and not have to wait to come back in November to get that signed.
Matt, do you want to go with that wording, or do you want to make an attempt at the motion?
No, that's fine, but I would want to put in there that we have a basically authorization or recommendation, let's put recommendation from the town engineer that we release as required, because he's the one who's going to see this going in and inspect it. So we would want to just get a recommendation directly from the town engineer to release either all or part of the surety as needed. So it's not relying on us to go out there and inspect it. It's the town engineer.
Understood.
So I'll make a motion basically as you presented, with the change that the engineering department make a recommendation to release it.
Release it. Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Sorry, Megan, not with this one. Yep. Thanks.
She
So-
can
She
vote
can't-
on this. So yeah,
She can, even though she wasn't part of the project?
the project's already been approved.
Okay.
This is just,
Sorry, Megan, you can vote. We'll do that again. All in favor?
No, I would like to abstain from voting on this matter since I wasn't part of the board.
All right, thank you. Three in favor, one abstained. Thank you.
and that's fair too, but just for clarification, as matters come up, she has a say on this board. So obviously the subdivisions have been approved. But any other matters she can comment on.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Attorney McGrail, is there anything else that we need to do? Once this goes through, so town council is the next step for you to meet with Mr. Mullen to make sure this tri-party agreement is moved forward. Do I need to sign anything at that point, or?
Yes, once town council, we've done this in the past, I think before you were chair or before you were on the board, it's been a while. Once town council approves it, then you will need to sign the tri-party agreement
Okay,
on behalf of the board.
all right, well, be up to date, please, and I'll be available to sign.
I do have another question. So when do we expect the foundations are going to be going in? Are they going to go all in at once or one at a time? Do we have a time frame on the rest of the construction up there?
Yes, Matt, we're probably going to start the first foundation in 2 to 3 weeks. And the second one might be another 2 weeks beyond that. And then the third one will be going in the spring.
All right. Are you starting from back to front or?
Yes, we are. That's correct.
Okay.
Back to front.
All right. Thank you. Just get a little clarification and put it out there so people know what's going to be happening up there.
Sure. No problem.
I'm just putting in my appointment so I don't miss it. Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, perfect. Calendar done. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney McGrail. Thank you, John. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep. So we've gotten to the point in the meeting, item number 11, items not anticipated by the chair. I do not have any items, just one reminder that we will have a public hearing next Thursday evening. Just wanted to make sure that's on everybody's calendar. And that is to review 2 articles. That'll be November 5th at 7 p.m. to review the 2 articles in front of our board to open up a public hearing. I believe being presented by the Friends of Lake Quantapowhat for zoning bylaw changes. So just to make that announcement so everybody knows. Do any board members have any items they'd like to share that were not anticipated for the agenda?
I
Matt?
just want, so in our meeting next week, just so everyone knows, we cannot go all night long. I have to get up early and work all day, so I think to be fair, we need to set some kind of time limit where we're not going to go until, we're not going to go 24 hours a day. So I think we need to think of, at a certain point, we need to, I think it's going to be a lot of discussion, but again, we can't go all night long. So we need to have some kind of time constraints on this. And I want to put that out there now, so it's not a shock to anyone.
Thank you, Matt. I respect your stance on that, and I feel the same way. I don't have to get up as early as you, but I do understand we have synchronized learning starting at 7 a.m., 7:20 in the house, so to get the kids ready for that. Any comments, Megan? Or I'm sorry, any non-anticipated items? Sorry.
I had a question in regards to the public hearing for next week that I can bring up now. It's in regards to the chat functionality. I know that you had mentioned at the beginning of this meeting that the chat functionality was turned off. Is the chat functionality also going to be turned off during the public hearing next Thursday, November 5th?
Yes, it needs to be. And I spoke to a few people about this, including our town administrator and a couple people, just to make sure I understood what we can and can't do. So running this meeting as a virtual meeting, our public hearing our special meeting that we had last week, it was very difficult and stressful. Not that I can't handle it, but to have the chat running while trying to listen to everything going on and manage the chat, where there were comments in the chat that were to the point they were close to bullying or intimidating to those who would speak up. So someone would speak, but then in the chat where everybody could see, there were comments being posted about what that person was saying. So to me, that's very intimidating. And I also heard from another board member that it's intimidating for other people to get up to speak. And the last thing we would want is for any public person not to feel comfortable speaking in this forum. So Megan, I appreciate you bringing that up. I will not, we will not have the chat available. If you need to speak in the public hearing, like if it was in person, you'd raise your hand, you'd state your name and your address, and then you would have your turn. Another concern about the Zoom participants in the list. We don't know who some of the people are on here. One of them says Zoom user. Some of them are just numbers. Some of them are just first names. So it's just not the way to conduct a public hearing. Thank you for bringing that up. I know I kind of got a little off topic on that, but was that part of your concern, or was it something that you would like to see?
Yes, no, it was part of my concern that I would like to see that the chat functionality not be available for November 5th. My question was also in regards to the fact that for COVID meeting protocols, right, the difference of in person, the necessity to say your name and your address, and the chat functionality that was not enforced. So I wanted to make sure that that part of the public hearing was enforced. So knowing that the chat functionality will be disabled on November 5th puts my fears, or calms my fears. And so I'm good. Thank you for the clarification.
I appreciate you bringing it up. And yes, it was somewhat difficult, and I learned a lot from the last meeting. So I'm glad that got some advice and some good feedback from those that I asked. Thank you.
And
Bill, do you have any items that I'm sorry, Matt, did you have a?
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, I'd be happy to turn chat off for all meetings. If there are people that need to be accommodated, we can work around that. But having a constant commentary while people are speaking is just not productive. So we would not allow people in our in-person meetings to be writing notes and passing them around either. So I think this is fair, and I don't, unfortunately, the system has been abused and it needed to be corrected. So this is what happens when
Thanks, Matt.
You know.
Bill, any items not anticipated on our agenda?
No, nothing, but I'd like to, yeah, I would say the chat shouldn't be. We don't have people just saying stuff during our meetings, do we? So I agree with all of, we all sort of agree with that.
Thanks, Bill.
Disturbing.
Yeah, and facilitating the meeting was much easier this evening where I didn't have to worry about the chat, where I could really look at the participants, and besides making sure people were muted, I could see the blue hands being raised, and that worked out well. This was the first time that worked out. So I'm happy about that too. I hope everybody, yeah, that worked out. With the number of participants, it would be really difficult to be able to do it, but there's an option, the blue hands jump up to the top of that list. It's nice. And then learning about the features and how to not allow the chat. But Matt, to your point, if there's somebody who needs to be heard through the chat, that's something we can discuss at the beginning of the meeting. I'll make sure that's discussed, and somebody could, I could allow the chat to work if somebody needs to speak through that, and then I could bring it back again and disable it. So that is something that we should address. Thanks. That's good. That's the last, that's all we have for tonight. I know Susan and I will review the meeting minutes and make sure we get all these motions and everything in order. And then just the distribution of the plans, I'll coordinate that with Attorney McGrail once Susan does receive the checks. Because we're not doing any signing until the checks obviously in hand.
You'll have those checks tomorrow morning.
Like I said, once we get those checks, and then we'll start doing the plans and signing them once we do. But thank you, I appreciate it. I am available tomorrow to do the signing and then redistribute. And Megan, we'll work you into the distribution handoff list going through.
Great.
All right. I think that's it on our agenda for this evening. If entertain a motion to adjourn. Megan?
Motion to adjourn.
Matt's made way too many motions tonight. Thank you. Can anybody second that?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good evening.